Hey everyone, it's Sandy Peckinpah, and I am welcoming replay viewers and look forward to seeing live viewers in a few minutes. Yay, Cynthia's in the house. I'm so glad you're here, Cynthia. And I just barely made it back in time for this scope. I wanted to make sure I did one today at as close to 5 o'clock as possible. I scope about using your life story as the backdrop of the greatest life you can ever imagine. And I love talking with you about life in all its many forms. So here we are. I'm going to flip this around. Thank you for the heart. There we are. Hello. So, hi Cynthia, so glad you're here, and I'm not sure who just joined me. I see somebody else popped up, but I'm seeing a couple of amber-colored hearts, and hooray, thank you for joining me. I am so excited because tonight I still have to pack. Gosh, for some reason I'm not getting comments. Let's see if I can get some comments on my screen. Does anybody else see anything? Let's see. Well, hopefully the comments will pop up. If not, I'm just going to have to keep talking. So anyway, I wanted to talk to you tonight because tomorrow I'm on my way to Cabo San Lucas and I'm going to be on vacation, but I'm going to try and talk to you while I'm there. I'm going to set up my screen. Yes, now I can see a comment. Okay, yay. Thank you. I was worried because I wasn't seeing anything. Wonderful. So I'm headed to Cabo tomorrow, but I'm going to try and scope while I'm there. Why not? I have a beautiful hotel room that we're staying in. It has a deck, and it's going to be right across from the arch in Cabo. And I'll have the opportunity to speak with you, I hope, because I'm telling you, I love doing these periscopes so much that it's what I think about during the day. And so I'm so glad that you're joining me. So today I'm really excited because I want to talk to you about what I learned in working on scripts and television shows and working as an actress, studying as an actress. And these are all things that not only benefit you if you're a writer, but it also benefits you in creating the next part of your life. And so I want to sort of dive right into it because I still have to pack tonight. But thank you for hanging in there with me. So I wanted to tell you that having been I was in the entertainment business for 25 years. I worked as an actress and studied acting with Jeff Corey and Stella Adler for many, many years and had the good fortune of working with some of the terrific actors in the world. The other thing that I did is I worked with my husband on screenplays, and as my favorite people on this broadcast know, I loved working with him on the television series that he created and that he wrote and that he produced. And so what I learned in the process of doing all of this is that every character in a script has a secret and a backstory. And you have no idea how important that is until you get into character development. And what I realized is that not only is this in screenplays, in books, but it's also in life, because every one of us has a secret and a backstory that has shaped who we are and who we're about to become. So I'm excited to talk to you about this premise. Does anybody relate to that? I hope so, because it's sort of the key to figuring out where you're headed in this fantastic life ahead. And so I want to share with you. My husband and I would sit up late at night. We'd put the kids to bed, and we would come up with story ideas. And how we would do it is that we would start with sort of a description. We knew basically maybe he had sold a movie or he was working on a series. So we had sort of the basic framework for what we were going to do. And so we would sit and we would say things like, okay, so this young girl, at 12 years old, she had umber brown hair, and she was really spunky, and her hair was so thick that she almost couldn't fit it in a rubber band. She had a bit of tomboy in her, but her parents made her take ballet, so she was very agile, but she really loved karate. And she also learned how to shoot a gun from her father. But let's see, and I'm creating this as I go. This is exactly what we used to do to create characters. So maybe her parents were constantly moving. Maybe there was something that was going on that the little girl could only sense but not understand. Why did they constantly have to move from town to town? They never got very close with people. They never seemed to make friends or have people over. They were always very quiet and to themselves. And so she wasn't allowed to have friends over. Her best friends were her dogs and playing outside and climbing trees. And then she got to the age of 12. And one day, she came home from school and her parents had disappeared. And suddenly she was put into the foster system when the neighbors found out that she was in the house alone. Maybe she had cared for herself for a long time and somehow they figured out they hadn't seen the parents in a while. So maybe her parents disappeared. And then suddenly she had to go into a series of foster homes, but she always had this secret that she didn't want to make close friends because she was embarrassed that she didn't have real parents, or that she felt odd and awkward and not like most kids her age. And so as she became an adult and she aged out of the system, she started having these memories of her parents talking about an alternate universe. Devin, welcome. So glad you're here. I'm talking about story and backstory, and this is what we created and how we learn to create characters for story, but also for our lives, because our backstory is hugely important for what we do. And so all of this story gives us a framework to create this incredible character in a script or a movie, because it is her motivation for doing everything. Everything in life is colored by this backstory that she has. So maybe she remembered staying up late and listening to her parents talk about some alternate universe. And maybe this gave her the thought that somehow her parents disappeared. And my husband wrote sci-fi. So you see where I'm going with this is that he did a lot of sci-fi shows, and they sort of, introduced a lot of really wild ideas about doing things. And so it was infinite possibilities of what could happen because it was all created. But this is the important thing, is that if you don't know your story and your backstory, you won't be able to structure your life in a way that gives you the power and the strength to recognize what are your assets, what are the tough things that you've been through, what are you meant to do, who are you meant to be. And so what I want to do is give you several things. Oops, let me just scroll down. I have 7 things that you can ask yourself, what if this happened in my life? Okay, so here's your backstory. This is what helps you discover your backstory. Ask yourself, number 1, what's happened in your life so far? And I always recommend putting it on a timeline, because a timeline is used. Oh, thank you for the heart, Cynthia. A timeline is used as a way of looking at your life in a huge story arc. And so if you put all of your events in life and look at them on a timeline, it gives you a new perspective. So what's happened in your life so far? And this is a tool that we use in grief recovery as well. And it helps so much for people to give perspective to the process of what they went through and how they're grieving, and how they can restructure their life to incorporate reclaiming life after loss. And so number 1, what's happened in your life so far? Number 2, how did it affect you? Did it bring you down? Did it lift you up? Did it make you feel afraid? Did it make you not sleep at night? How did all of what has happened to you affect you at different times in your life? And when we do our 5-day writing challenge, which is coming up in December, we're going to look at your timeline and your story arc, because that's a huge, huge asset in your writing. Number 3, do you have a secret? And does it help you or hurt you? And the reason I bring this up is because we all have something in our lives that sort of remains dormant, not dormant in that we don't acknowledge it, but we just don't share it. And Brene Brown talks a lot about what that secret does to you. And if you expose it to light, you can heal from it. So ask yourself, number 3, do you have a secret? And does it help you or hurt you? One of the secrets that I had when I was grieving the loss of my son was I became obsessive about certain things in my life. And I've shared that with this before, is that I became obsessive and fearful. And so I would do things to avoid thinking. And maybe you can relate to that. And so I would do things like in the middle of the night, I'd decide I had to organize my library. Now I'm a book person, and so I had hundreds of books, and I would organize those books in the middle of the night until I just couldn't. Yes, Cynthia, very much so. I'd organize those books in the middle of the night so that I didn't have to think about the loss of my child, or my fear about losing another child, or the struggle in my marriage to comprehend this loss of my child. And so it was a secret. And until I brought it to light, and I think it was Melissa, was the rigid schedules. Yes, they keep you from having to, oh gosh, they keep you from feeling feelings is what they do. Is just constantly on the go and keeping busy. And I think I shared it first with Melissa, and Melissa said, my best friend Melissa, and I think she said, I think you need to get some help for this. And I started therapy, and I'm so glad that I did, because once I brought it to light, it was no longer something that I felt so bad about. And so, number 3, do you have a secret, and does it help you or hurt you? And remember, when you bring it to light, it no longer can hurt you. Number 4, what did you learn from your experience? I know I can make a list a mile long from the things that I learned in the loss of my child, the loss of my marriage, reclaiming my life. There are so many things that I learned from it, and a huge portion of them were an asset to my life, and I am forever grateful for learning those things. And thank you, Cynthia, again for the hearts. We only seem to have you on live stream, but I know every time I go onto the web, we have a ton of people watching on the web. So I want to keep continuing. I wish those of you on the web had the app, because I would love to interact with you and hear your comments. So, Cynthia, you're it. Number 5, who were the people that were part of your story, and how did they influence you? I mentioned Melissa. Again, she influenced me so much and helped me heal. And for those of you who don't know, Melissa Gilbert is she's the actress from Little House on the Prairie, and she's my best friend and has been for 25 years. And I'm telling you, when you have a best friend that can lift you up and support you like she did, I feel like the luckiest woman in the world to have that kind of friend. And so, again, who were the people that were part of your story? And did some hurt you, and did some help you? Help and hinder is important to recognize in that list. Absolutely. Because often people have 2 roles in your life. And that's the thing that I had to learn, is that you could have 2 emotions about one person. And I've shared this with my children, and it's brought great relief over the years, because maybe they've had a friend who's hurt their feelings, but they really have been a really good friend in their lifetime. And those people, you have to decide what's more important. Is it more important to recognize those good qualities, or is the harmful part of them so painful that it doesn't enhance your life? And you can love someone and feel anger and hate towards someone at the same time. And I learned this in therapy. It's been so helpful for me to sort out my feelings about people. So again, who were the people were part of your story? And like Cynthia said, do they hinder you or help you? So important to recognize. Number 6, what do you need to do to resolve? What do you need to resolve to make peace with the things that have held you back? And there were many things that held me back in my life. For instance, in my writing, because I always felt sort of less than my husband, who was an Emmy-nominated producer and writer. And I thought, how could I do that? I mean, he's so accomplished. And what would my work mean? Well, my work had its own special purpose and value. And so I had to recognize it as being important for me to continue on, even though I had less than feelings for a while, and I needed to resolve some of those issues in my past in order to continue. And again, that's all part of your backstory and all part of your secret. So number 7, and this is the most exciting for me, how will you create your future? How will you create your future story arc to find the happiness and success that you've been looking for? And that all depends on your backstory. You know, your past and even this present day is your backstory. And it's the platform for your future. And that is what I want you to know, is that your future is ever more powerful because of what you've recognized, helped and hindered in your backstory, raised you up, dropped you to your knees. All of those things have created your backstory and the platform to your future. You know, I know the loss of my son, the loss of my home, what life as I thought it, all of that brought me to where I am today. And all of it had meaning and purpose. And I have never felt like I am more living my purpose than I do today. And Cynthia, you're a huge part of that. Thank you, because you always validate my work. So if you have 10 minutes today, I urge you to write down your backstory, and you'll discover the defining moments that made you who you are, and it's the keys to claiming your future. So I'm so glad that you joined me. Thank you. Oh, it's fantastic work. You make it easy. Thank you, Cynthia. I'm excited. I mean, I've almost got my 5-day writing challenge completed, and I've got worksheets, and I've got challenges. I've got emails going to go out. It's going to be a way to start your story, and whether you're going to write it as a blog or a story, me too. Yay! I'm so glad you're excited. Whether it's a blog or an article or a book, your memoir, it's important that you know your story. Let me tell you, when I studied to become a grief recovery specialist, the main thing that they did was teach us how to understand our story. Planning to blog it. Thank you. I'm so glad, because our story is the foundation for everything, and you're going to learn about that as we go along. The Certified Grief Recovery Institute in Los Angeles, we start out by doing a timeline. That's what we do. It's a timeline of our life, and we start to notice patterns and how we handle patterns and things that happen to us. It's incredibly enlightening, and I cannot wait to do this with you. So if you have 10 minutes, write down your backstory. Just have fun with it and think about all the things that are sort of defining moments for you. And you know what? Contact me on Twitter at Sandy Peckinpah, and I'm on Twitter at Sandy Peckinpah, and also on Periscope at Sandy Peckinpah. And I want to hear from you, because if you want to get an email about the 5-day writing challenge, it's going to be awesome. I'm so glad. So tomorrow I'm on a plane to Cabo San Lucas. I'm hoping I'll have a chance to Periscope with you. If I don't, I'm going to try and be back the very next day, but I'm sure going to give it my all, because I just miss doing this so much. I miss you all and connecting with you all. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, Cynthia. Thank you. I will just enjoy it. Thank you so much. You know what? I'm taking my computer. I'm going to write, because nothing makes me happier on a vacation than when I write. It's that free, wonderful time where my brain just gets to flow. No interruptions. I don't think about dusting the bookshelves. I don't think about cleaning the refrigerator. Nothing. I just get to enjoy it. So I'm going to Periscope from my from the deck overlooking the arch in Cabo San Lucas. Okay? All right. Take care. So glad to see you. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.